This is our third episode of Texas City Tales, the spooky edition, where we asked our listeners to send in some scary stories. My name is Darcie.
I'm Rhomari.
And I'm Susan.
Alrighty. Okay, I think I'm going to kick us off first today. I have a really short story. Let me just start out, because some of my friends growing up weren't allowed to stay over at other friends' houses. Were y'all allowed to stay at other people's houses?
No, never.
No, see?
Only two people that were like my friends, their parents and stuff were like thoroughly vetted, and we had to be friends for a couple years before my parents let me spend the night.
Okay, so my story takes place at kind of like a slumber party type thing. So just imagine you're in that mindset. Sorry, Susan, you don't know what that's like. But just imagine you're staying at your cousin's house.
Did your friends stay over?
No, neither one.
But you have a lot of siblings, right?
Yes.
That's probably why.
There was never room for other people to spend the night.
I didn't have any sisters, and so I had to spend the night to have like that girl time.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 7 of us, so we didn't have room for extras.
I hear you.
Makes sense.
Okay. When my mom was younger, she was at a sleepover at her friend's new house, and they were on the top of the friend's bunk when a hand came up from the side. They slapped it, thinking it was her sister, because her sister and them were the only ones there. After a while, the bedroom... What happened?
I'm scared already.
After a while, the bedroom door opened, and her sister walked in.
What?
What is it? I'm going to reread it.
Reread it. That's no. I'm lost.
Why? Okay.
What?
Listen.
Okay.
Listen, Linda.
Listen. When my mom was younger, she was at a sleepover at her friend's new house, and they were on the top of the friend's bunk bed.
Okay.
When all of a sudden, a hand came up, and I guess they high-fived it thinking it was their sister that was below because they were the only ones at the house. But then her sister walks in the door a few minutes later.
So did they not just look underneath like that and say, who was it?
It was a ghost.
Oh, heck no.
Obviously, they lived to tell the story, but...
They survived.
No. Have you ever had bunk beds?
No.
My brother
Trundle.
did. My brother did.
One of my friends whose house we used to spend the night at, she had bunk beds, and I can just imagine this story and us leaping off the top bunk into
8
the
feet
doorway.
off.
Because we used to do that for fun anyways. Like, that
All
would
the
have been
time.
my instant reaction, just to jump off the top of the bunk, because what?
I know.
High-five the hand on the way down.
Exactly. My best friend had one growing up, and so when we'd stay at her house, and if this happened to us, we couldn't jump off because her ceiling fan was like right there. We'd be stuck. The hand would get us.
That is creepy.
Anyways,
Yeah, no,
I know I
that's
had to
crazy.
reread the story a couple times myself, but I was like, ooh.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Susan.
Well, playing off of your hand, I have a hand story also.
Okay.
And it is called The Bride. Someone sent this in as well. And it goes like this. I watched as my soon-to-be father-in-law held his daughter's hand as he walked her down the aisle. Tears streamed down his face as the wedding march played in the background and reminded him that in a few minutes he would be watching me hold his daughter's hand and slipping a ring on her finger. He walked up to the altar, and I took hold of her hand, grinning from ear to ear. It was the happiest day of my life. My soon-to-be bride's father got down on his knees and started begging, "Please, please, I did what you asked. Just please give me my daughter back." I glared at him. "Shut up and stop ruining the moment. If you sit back down and enjoy the ceremony, maybe I'll tell you where the rest of her is."
What?
Yeah. How about that? He just handed her the hand.
He just had her hand.
He just had her hand. Isn't that crazy? So there was no body, just a hand.
Just the hand.
Okay, that doesn't sound real. People are just writing stuff now.
Yeah, people are just
Scary stories.
What? Poor dad.
for day.
I know.
Okay.
Saved on a wedding dress, though.
Supposedly,
True.
it might be
No
in pieces
veil.
with the
Veils
rest
are
of her
so
body.
expensive.
That's crazy, though.
They
isn't
really
it?
are. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn.
Spooky.
So I assume that this person must have been like a paramedic, EMS type work. So it says, an ambulance company that I used to work for had a haunted ambulance, Rig 32. A lot of my coworkers had stories about it, but I never put much stock into paranormal stuff. That is until I had my own experience with Rig 32. My partner and I were working in a rural community at 3 a.m. See the witching hour.
No.
Dun dun dun.
And it was pitch dark and completely quiet.
Oh,
We were
nice.
both dozing. I was in the driver's seat and she was in the passenger seat. I woke up to a muffled voice, but I thought my partner was talking. I told her I was trying to sleep and closed my eyes. I distinctly heard a male voice say, "Oh my God, am I dying?" Followed by a few seconds of heavy breathing. My partner and I sat straight up and looked back into the patient compartment where it sounded like the voice had come from. Things were quiet for a couple of seconds. Then we heard the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a hiss as if it was leaking. I turned on the lights. We ran out of the rig. I thought a transient might have climbed into the back and was asleep. So we opened the rear doors. No one was there. I checked the oxygen bottles. Neither was open. We didn't sleep much after that.
Oh, heck no.
Again, 3 o'clock. Wasn't it 3?
Yep, it happened at 3 a.m.
And
I
in
would
the
have
dark.
In the dark.
hopped out and got to walk in. I would have never checked the back.
No. No,
Because
yeah.
what do you do?
Uh,
That reminds me, like, do you guys ever go home and maybe you have like a weird feeling, so you start checking the closets, or like you check like behind the shower curtain?
No, because if I get that feeling, I don't even go in.
I have checked behind the shower
I've
curtain,
checked
yes.
behind the shower curtain, but lately I've been like, girl, okay, so what are you gonna do if there's something
Exactly.
really back
Yeah,
there?
what happens when
Like,
someone's
run.
there?
Run.
What's next?
You're
You
paralyzed
open
in
the
fear.
closet, there's somebody standing there, like, now what?
Or they're going to be like, hey, you're almost out of shampoo. If they're in the shower. You need a refill.
Yeah.
Oy.
That's
What? So
crazy.
if I was them, I would not be parked in a rural area, number one. I'd be like in the Walmart parking lot. Something where the lights are always on. That'd be me.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I told y'all some of the stuff that was happening at our house, and for people listening, they don't really know, but probably, I don't know, like 3 months ago, it was my husband and I were sitting on the couch, and our son Grayson, he was there, and we have like this remote control monster truck, but there's no batteries in it, and there's no batteries in the controller for the truck. And it was at our kitchen table is where like the truck was, because Grayson will still like play with it and make noises, and it's bigger than all the other trucks, right? So
Right.
it's a cool toy to have around. So it's at our kitchen table. We're sitting on the couch in the living room. It's probably 10 feet apart. And this thing comes alive and like drives straight to the couch where we're sitting.
No.
And Grayson's like, are y'all playing with my truck? And we said, no, we're not playing with it. But like my husband and I were like both looking at each other like, what the heck just happened? And
And y'all stayed there and slept?
yeah,
No.
we picked the
She
truck
said
up. No batteries in it. Checked the remote again. No batteries in that. So we're like, what the heck? So that happened. A couple other things were happening. One night, my husband was out a little bit late, and both boys were down in the room. They were asleep, and we have the baby monitors. And all of a sudden, I hear this like loud crash in their room. And we had picked up all the toys that day, so I didn't know what could have fallen or made this noise.
Right.
I run in there expecting to see like a whole bunch of toys all over the floor. Nothing's there, but our little baby's like moving and shaking like he's heard something. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's creepy. I don't know what it was, but it scared me. My heart was beating really fast. So I was like, I'm going to call my priest and have him come over and bless the house because I'm just getting the heebie-jeebies.
Yes.
Right.
Also, I will say that Rhomari gave me some sage, but I never changed
Like
the house.
100 months ago.
So, yeah. So I was like, Father Clint, come over and bless our house. He came over and he was talking to me about it, and we did the prayers. He did the holy water all over the home, and I felt really good. I felt fine. We felt safe. We both slept good for like a week,
Okay.
and then one night Grayson comes running into our room, and he said he got scared, so he wanted to sleep in our bed. And sometimes, I mean, we're trying really hard, right, to keep him to stay in his room, but sometimes you're like, whatever, I'm tired too, climb on up, no big deal. So when he comes to our room, sometimes he brings whatever toy he's got like in his hand, and he's obsessed with the Ghostbusters. So he's got the plastic Ghostbusters gun, and I thought that maybe that's what he brought to the bed and just kept it at the edge of our bed.
Okay.
What was it?
Okay, so I'm just setting all this up because we all fall asleep, and then like I don't know, I didn't check my phone, but let's just say it was the witching hour, right?
Okay.
And we hear this loud crash.
3:15.
3:15. We hear this
Okay.
loud crash, and I'm like, oh, it must have been his Ghostbusters gun that he put at the end of the bed, and I didn't see it, and I kicked it off, and that's what made that noise. I didn't even get up. I didn't even look for it. I'm tired. I'm like, meh, whatever. And I roll over and I go back to sleep. I wake up the next morning, and the ironing board from my closet that's usually like propped up against the wall of the closet had come all the way out and fell on the floor. And that's the noise that I heard. And it was just like lying in the middle of our bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
What the heck was that? I thought it was this Ghostbusters gun. Literally, somebody could have been standing at the end of our bed, and I didn't do anything. I just rolled over and went
She
to
was
sleep.
just like, whatever.
I'm so tired. I
didn't
want to go
really
back
see
to
that.
sleep. But yeah, our whole ironing board that's usually propped up on the side of the closet, like on the wall, at an angle, came out. And so I asked Gino, I was like, well, did you use the ironing board yesterday or something? He's like, no, I haven't touched that thing in like weeks. So I don't know. That's my story. Nothing's happened since, but I might have to like call Father Clint back.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a sign
It's a
to iron
sign.
your clothes.
Hey. But yeah, you're right.
That's crazy that
I know.
you didn't even like sit up and
No.
look. You're just like,
You're used to the
Because
ghost
well, I'm so
presence now.
well that and like Grayson
probably.
brings all these random toys all the time. So like it could one day it's his little gun, some days it's a book, some days it's a truck, whatever.
Right.
So I was like, that's probably just what fell off. No, it's a freaking ironing board coming out of our closet. Kukui was in there.
Iron my clothes.
pass.
Yeah.
Immediately pass.
That's my story.
Good stories.
Thanks.
These are really scary stories. The hand. The hand.
Yeah, I would have broke my neck trying to jump off that bed.
Yeah.
Well,
Good stuff.
thank you for joining us for another episode of Texas City Tales, the spooky edition. Thank you to the City of Texas City for sponsoring this podcast, and we'll catch you next week for another edition.
Bye.
Spooky tales.